Given the safety net that comes with being a salaried software engineer, what was the inspiration behind you taking the plunge into contracting?
Working salaried is great. And, you have consistency, reliability. You've got a company that, wants to keep you around. And it can be pretty nerve wracking thinking about switching to contracting. Typically, people will think, oh, you can work for this company and maybe the contract's going to be short, or all of a sudden your livelihood is going to disappear. And so far, in my experience, that hasn't really been the case. Um, so I originally wanted to become a contractor because I wanted to work less than 40 hours a week, make more per hour, and spend more time working on personal projects. Um, and when I managed to get into contracting and I was working full time with it, it felt a little bit more like a full time job, but with a lot of the other contractor perks. So, it's pretty nerve wracking going from salary to contracting, where first you have to find a client, which can be really difficult. And you can take a few different approaches to being a contractor in general. One is, you can find clients on your own and negotiate things on your own, and handle all the business side and the invoicing and negotiations, and that can be extremely difficult. Unless you have experience in that stuff, I don't really recommend that approach. Another path you can take is going through a recruiter, which makes it easier to find people, but you're still responsible for, learning all the contracting things yourself and often handling negotiations and stuff like that. Um, my preferred approach is to use one of a number of platforms that exist out there where they have platforms like TopTal, Moonlight, Brain Trust, where they will they have clients already that are looking for people, and they have a list of contractors, and they make it easy to connect clients looking for work with highly skilled contractors. Some of these platforms do a lot of testing beforehand, like TopTal, um, and some of them just look at your resume and make their own recommendations to clients. But these organizations will typically handle the negotiations. They'll help you with the contract. They'll help you, communicate with the client and work on the business side of things. And a lot of them will actually pay you as well. So the client will pay them. They'll take a small percent cut of whatever your rate is, and then they'll pay you often, even if the client doesn't. And so, taking invoicing and negotiations and a lot of that other stuff out of the mix, it makes getting started and continuing to work in contracting a hell of a lot easier.
And had you
Um,
explored a little bit with being an independent contractor, not with any of these middlemen, before you started working with TopTal? Or did
yeah,
you started working? Okay.
yeah. So for side work, like a lot of software engineers, I've worked quite a few hourly and part time contracting gigs, and most of them were fine. It can be really difficult to find clients, and when you get them, and you're working with your own negotiations, often it's some smaller company or startup, or maybe even a solo person that just needs some help, and you typically don't have the support that you might um, if you're working with larger organizations looking for contractors, or through a platform that helps connect you to clients. So I've done that in development, and I also did that in IT for a while. And I'm not really a fan. It's pretty stressful, and it's a lot to have to, chase down payments for a small, like, single person startup or something like that, or negotiating things, or just getting what you need from small teams. And when you're finding contracts on your own, that'll be the majority of what you find. But when you're going through these organizations that help connect you to clients, they typically have a list of larger organizations that have the resources and have the systems in place to support you, so that you can be, the best contracting engineer that you can be.
And once you were in the door with, you said TopTal does a lot of testing. Once you're in the
Mm.
door, how is the connection process between a client who's looking for a skilled developer and what is the process they follow for connecting you and actually making you a contractor for that client? Is there additional testing? Is there a simple personal interview to see if you're a good fit? What does that look like?
So with my experience with Toptal, it was pretty straightforward. I had a skill set that one of their clients was looking for. So they kind of fast tracked me directly into a job, got me an interview. I did a very simple test, and then I was onboarded very shortly then after. Most people, at least on the top tel platform, that from what I can tell, they spend a while looking through lists of clients, and either they can find a gig that they want to apply to, and if the people working on the platform decide that you're a good fit, then they'll select a few people and then send those off to the client. The client chooses, and then you'll do an interview. Some clients have tests, some clients don't. That's really just up to what they want. After that, TopTel will negotiate a rate if anything needs to be negotiated. But typically, you say, "Hey, I want to get paid X per hour," and they'll tell you if that's reasonable or not. So if you're asking for $500 an hour, they may come back and say, "Hey, that's not reasonable." But other than that, you can charge pretty much whatever you want, and they handle the negotiations and getting the contract for you to sign and everything like that. So you're pretty much just responding to requests to sign things and getting things set up.
It sounds like a nice process, though. I mean, having someone handle all of that and even the payments flowing through down to you from the contractor and having the middleman kind of coordinate that must be easier. And I'm sure they're better at, or at least you don't have to handle shaking down people to get your money, right? Is that kind of
Yeah,
right?
yeah. TopTel specifically will pay you whether or not the client does. So you're not at any risk. If you've worked the hours, then you're going to get the pay.